Someone we know named Sean Michael Wilson, a traditional Catholic and friend of our monastery, was present at the Trump rally and seated right behind Trump when the shooting occurred. He's the individual who makes the sign of the cross in this clip. He's also the person in this clip. His eyewitness testimony serves to refute those who falsely claim that the event was staged. No, it was a real shooting.
Hello, my name is Sean Michael Wilson. I'm from the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I was in the audience behind Donald Trump during the attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania. I was about 30 feet behind President Trump when the event occurred. Prior to the event, when President Trump walked onto the stage, I made the sign of the cross, so that God would protect him throughout the event in case something were to happen. During the speech, I heard about 6 or 7 shots that sounded like large, loud firecrackers coming from my right. I then heard 1 to 3 louder bangs coming from my left. Then I looked and saw Donald Trump being still piled on, and not knowing whether he even was alive or not, I once again made the sign of the cross. Immediately thereafter, he rose up, and the famous image of him shaking his fist at the audience to reassure them that he was all right and to be strong happened. From my perspective, I couldn't see him from the front, but from the back, he had clear streaks of reddish-pinkish across his blonde hair, from his right ear all across the back of his head. And I do believe that this was divine intervention by God. As I mentioned, I am a traditional Catholic. I am a strong supporter of Most Holy Family Monastery and the material, and I highly recommend anybody to view their material.
We should note that we strongly disagree with a number of things that Trump does and supports, both morally and in some cases with regard to foreign policy. We've been very critical of him in those areas. However, as flawed as he is, he's not a globalist conspirator. He's the major political figure who arguably represents the last obstacle to the complete takeover of America and the free world by illegitimate leftists, communists, and globalists.
And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
That's why the deep state and the conspirators are so opposed to him gaining power. It's why they are currently trying to imprison him and politically prosecuting his supporters. Now there has been an audacious attempt on his life in broad daylight because they are desperate to keep him from regaining power. The astounding opposition to Trump on the left and from the deep state represents a diabolical opposition to what remains of freedom, conservatism, and law and order in America and much of the world. We explained this in our videos called America's Fall to Communism and Why the Left Rages Against Trump and for Lawlessness. Those who claim that there's no difference between someone like Trump and the illegitimate regime currently occupying Washington are quite wrong. Consider the overturning of Roe v. Wade as just one example of the profound difference.
And last year, those justices ruled to end Roe v. Wade, and now...
The reason that this betrayal of America is significant enough in God's view that he would allow it to be signified by this remarkable series of events is threefold. 1. America has been the most free major country in the world in recent history, and therefore, despite its many problems, it's the greatest obstacle to world communism and to the complete globalist takeover of the world. 2. During the past few hundred years, America has had tremendous success and a special role in propagating the true Catholic faith. And 3. America has played the leading role in preserving the true Catholic faith during the current great apostasy. The timing of this assassination attempt also supports the conclusion that it was an inside job betrayal carried out by the deep state. It occurred just prior to the Republican National Convention and just before Trump named his vice presidential candidate. By killing Trump before he had named his potential replacement, the deep state intended to throw the Republicans into chaos with no clear person to fill Trump's spot. We believe that the deep state had planned to kill Trump and then carry out a series of domestic terror attacks, which would be blamed on Trump supporters or conservatives who were supposedly retaliating. They would then use this narrative to further crack down on conservatives, eliminate their rights, or imprison them. For many years, the deep state has promoted propaganda which claims that the real threat to the country is to be found among conservative American citizens and right-wingers. Following this failed attempt to kill Trump, it's probable that they still plan to carry out, quote, domestic terror attacks and blame them on conservatives or Trump supporters for supposed retaliation. They can then use this false narrative to divert attention from the brazen assassination attempt against Trump, throw the country into chaos, and further crack down on, quote, right-wingers. America has been betrayed and handed over to death by an illegitimate regime in Washington, a de facto invasion of the country, and other things. God has allowed this betrayal as a punishment for the sins of the people, especially for sexual sins and sexual immorality, as we've mentioned in various videos. So while we're happy that Trump survived and that God intervened to save his life, in our view this event overall signifies something alarming for America. The inside job assassination attempt on Trump and the remarkable events that surrounded it was, in my view, a striking sign God gave to America that the country has been betrayed and is on the brink of death. In July of 2024, America's life as a nation is hanging by a thread. This is also evident from many things that have occurred in the country in the past few years. I believe we are experiencing the great hour of darkness in America when you consider all of the moral evils occurring in the country combined with the betrayal of the country by an illegitimate regime.